is the greatest challenge, or what are the challenges of education in the United States nowadays?
Okay. Well, there are many challenges that the United States is facing in terms of the educational system. And what I would like to do is address some of the challenges that are important and where I have actually worked on over the past 20 years. And the challenges that I have tried to confront really cover what we call in the United States K-12 education, which is kindergarten through 12th grade. So it's elementary and secondary school, as well as higher education. Over the past 20 years, I have worked across the entire spectrum of the educational system, from kindergarten, well, not kindergarten, but from middle school all the way to higher education. And a lot of my work was really looking at creating learning environments and opportunities for students from different backgrounds, academic, linguistic, and cultural, to participate in the learning process. One of the big challenges that a country like the United States is facing, especially California, which is where I have lived and worked for the past 22 years, is the diversity of the population. How do you make sure that if you have learning environments or classrooms where you have students from 30 different linguistic communities, how do you make sure that all these students are able to participate in the learning process? How do you make sure, as a teacher, as a school principal, as a university faculty preparing teachers, how do you make sure that the teachers know and have the skills to include all the students in the learning process? So equity and equal access is a big issue. And one way to address that issue is to prepare teachers to apply strategies where they can really create learning activities where all the students are engaged. So kind of doing this chronologically, for the first 5 years of my educational career in the United States, working at Stanford University, I worked with a program called the Stanford Program for International and Cross-Cultural Education, SPICE. You have classrooms in California where you have students from 20, 30 different countries. The dominant student group in California, a non-English speaking group, is the Spanish speaking group. And so there are a lot of bilingual programs that try to really address the issue of diversity within the classroom. So it's really a big challenge for teachers to understand how to engage students from different backgrounds, academic, linguistic, socioeconomic, in the learning process. And so I have worked with a lot of teachers to help them apply strategies, especially in kind of group settings, where the students work together in groups, solving higher level problems, and the teacher plays the role of facilitating these groups so that every student is able to participate in the learning process. And for that, you need at least two big components. One is designing the curricular activities in a way so that it provides multiple doors that students can open from different backgrounds to participate in the learning process. And the second component is to prepare or to work with the teachers who are already teaching to apply strategies to facilitate this process. The second challenge that the educational system in the US is facing, and again, as I said earlier, there are many challenges. These are just two challenges that I have faced on. In addition to the diversity within the community, you need to look about preparing the next generation of students to be able to be responsible citizens within a global world, because more and more the world is becoming smaller and smaller, and as you think about educating the next generation of students, they have to be able to not only understand what is going on in the different parts of the world, but also to have skills to really engage with members from different communities around the world. So we have also programs in place that specifically try to give students content knowledge to learn more about other cultures, global education. So for the first 5 years of my 20-year career in education in the United States, I really focused on elementary and middle school and high school secondary education to design these curricular activities that are much more inclusive to address the diversity issue, while at the same time to work with teachers to implement strategies to facilitate this process. Now moving on from elementary and secondary education, I started working more in higher education. And for about 10 years, I focused on this challenge that every university, not only in the United States, was facing in the mid-90s, late 90s, trying to figure out how does technology, the internet and various information and communication and collaboration technologies, how do these technologies change the conversation of teaching and learning? How do you need to change the classes that undergraduate students participate in, that bring technology into their environments, and how do you take advantage of these new technologies to really prepare the next generation of students to be able to apply technology in support of their learning and ultimately also their professional goals. So at Stanford, as well as at several other universities, I worked very closely with faculty members, professors, who went through their professional training when the internet did not exist, when personal computers did not exist. And we worked with them trying to figure out how can they incorporate technology to enrich their teaching and also to enrich the learning of the students. So the intersection between the technology and the practice and the science of teaching and learning, how do you bring together all these pieces in a way so that you create a rich learning environment? That is a big challenge that the United States is facing, but that every other society is changing.
But is there a practical thing going on already, or it's only a debate?
No, they're
What changes in the daily basis, in the classroom daily? Mm-hmm. What changes technology brought into the classroom for teaching and the relationship and because we are already in 2010, so we have already
experienced technology in the classroom for many years.
And so what happened?
Right.
What were the changes?
The technology has allowed professors to really do a couple of things. One, bring multiple perspectives, bring more multiple perspectives to the learning process through internet or through video conferencing. There is the ability to really connect to teaching colleagues or researchers from other universities, from other cultures, and bring them into the learning environment. So there is the whole notion of multiple perspectives and also bring the world into the learning environments. There is the whole notion of making learning visual. So there are a lot of technologies now that allow students to kind of make their thinking and their learning visual, to visualize processes, to simulate processes. For example, that's very useful in the medical arena. But also to bring information technology into the learning environment to support collaborative learning activities. And over the past 10 years, most universities have really experimented, and some have also implemented solid programs where you combine face-to-face learning with globally distributed collaborative learning, which uses information and communication technologies. The third challenge that I think the educational system in the US and many other systems are facing is supporting the creative problem-solving skills that students need, building creative competence across the disciplines, and also emphasizing the need for critical thinking skills. As more and more information becomes available through the internet and other sources, it is becoming more and more important for everyone, learners, workers, to apply critical thinking to this overload of information. And as the students on the university level, as they are engaged in problems throughout their educational career, more and more, not that the nature of the problems have changed, but the complexity of the problems have become more urgent and also more real and more visible. You no longer, or as the president of Stanford University used to say, problems don't come to you in disciplinary tunnels. Problems come to you in cross-disciplinary contexts. So if you are an environmental scientist, if you are an engineer, if you are an educator, if you look at some of the problems, quite often the solution does not lie in one particular discipline, but it really has elements of many, many different disciplines. So one of the big challenges is to give students the opportunities and the knowledge to work beyond one particular discipline that they are focusing on. One metaphor to describe that challenge is that the next generation of citizens, of workers, of teachers, of civic leaders, they need to be like a T, meaning that you want to be grounded in a disciplinary area. It's very good to have a grounding in the learning sciences or in engineering or in business, but you also need a very crucial skill set, communication and collaboration abilities, to be able to understand and work with people from other disciplinary areas. So the whole notion of cross-disciplinary or multidisciplinary programs, especially in higher education, become more and more important because the challenges are becoming more and more complex and more multidisciplinary. A fourth big challenge that I have tried to address through some of the projects that I was involved in, that U.S. educational systems or the U.S. educational system is facing, is to give students an opportunity to think beyond just their disciplinary responsibility and help them become responsible global citizens. And about 3 years ago, I started a program at Stanford called the Stanford University International Outreach Program. And the specific mandate of this program was to give Stanford students and researchers also an opportunity to collaborate with universities from Africa, South America, and Asia. Quite often you have individual professors who do some research in those regions, or you might have some students who are engaged in either research projects or take classes that introduce them to some of these big challenges that the communities in these regions are facing. But we realized at Stanford, as part of an initiative called the International Initiative, that we need to do a better job to really educate the next generation of leaders, but also give them the skills and the knowledge to be an active partner in finding solutions to those global challenges, whether it's environmental challenges related to the Amazon basin, working with communities in East Africa that are facing droughts, trying to improve teacher education in Chile. So our program put together university students and professors at Stanford with students and professors at various universities. In Colombia, we have also worked with a university in Cali, working with them on designing together a new program on helping their students and Stanford students to become entrepreneurs. So really to take innovation and innovative ideas to the next level and think about how they could then build businesses around these ideas. Stanford and California has some history of really being very successful in educating students or giving students an opportunity to start their own companies. So we really try to also share this kind of experience with universities in other parts of the world. There's a new twist to this idea of working with students to help them become more innovative and more creative and more think like entrepreneurs, and that is the field of social entrepreneur. So really helping students to combine their knowledge and their skills with the need and the opportunity to contribute those skills and the knowledge towards finding solutions to big global challenges. And those are new programs that focus on social innovation or social entrepreneurship, as well as on innovation for social impact. And some of the programs that have started in various universities in the United States are now giving students more and more opportunities to engage in these programs. What's nice to observe is that the generation of students that is coming into higher education in the United States, they seem to be very interested and eager to really engage in these kinds of programs.
And what about the diversity of the communities? How are the teachers and the children, are they open for the mixing? Do the teachers want to teach this diversity community, or you have a problem to find teachers for a diverse classroom?
Yeah.
Or and also, do the kids get along, or do you have this kind of conflict?
Yeah. I'm not spending enough time especially in secondary education, in high schools or middle school, to really talk with confidence about these issues. But the challenge and the issue of diversity and the opportunity, because every challenge can also be an opportunity. It's definitely a big challenge in larger inner city urban environments. And it's also, I think, a fact that it's more difficult to recruit teachers with the necessary skills to teach in these very challenging environments. Students bring so many issues from their families and from the communities into the schools. So teachers are quite often also overburdened with issues that are not directly related to their role of being a teacher. So they might also have to be a social worker. But more and more programs are trying to prepare future teachers to give them more tools and more strategies to deal with that diversity. And I think to some extent there has been some improvement in various areas, but overall I think teacher preparation in general and teacher preparation for schools that are dealing with these additional challenges such as diversity on every possible level continue to be a big challenge in the United States.
And how do you attract the teachers? To be a teacher, how do you attract?
Well, I think a lot of people who go into the teaching profession, they go into the profession because they really want to be teachers and they want to make a major contribution. And as you probably know, teachers in the United States, in general, I think they don't earn that much money as compared with other professions. That makes it even more important for people who go into this profession, that they really want to do it because they want to make a difference, a contribution to the society. And many of them also continue to go into the inner cities or the urban environments. The problem is that the problem is the retention of these teachers, because over a period of 1, 2, or 3 years, many of them get so burned out that they just leave the profession. And there are a lot of initiatives within the schools of education to really research initiatives trying to look at what are the factors that contribute to this burnout, and what can we put in place in terms of structures and processes, both in the preparation of the teachers, but also then while the teachers are in the classroom through ongoing support. What are the processes and structures necessary to give them more support, to prepare them better, and to give them more support?
Done.
Yeah, yeah.